vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Values in management. In fact, values should be in the life of everyone. Nor we need not necessarily distinguish management from the life, because life means management. As our Dr. Parimal Vyas said, that we are born in a structure called family and we keep on moving into different structures. So every moment, in fact, we are required to do management. But anyway, let us talk about management of business, industry, marketing, purchasing, whatever different functions we are required to perform. Management is an interaction between myself, who is the manager, and whatever it is that I am managing. In every interaction, there are two entities, the subject and the object. Subject I is required to manage the object that is other than myself. Thus, in management, as in anything else, there are two aspects, the object and the subject. What we usually learn and what they teach is what they call hard skills. How to manage man, how to manage material, how to manage finance, how to manage marketing, etc., which is wonderful. But usually, one entity is not paid attention to, and that is the one who manages. Thus, two kinds of management is involved. Management of what I call object, things other than myself. And second is management of the subject, the management of the self, self-management. And where we or the Bhagavad Gita has to contribute is primarily the management of the self. Because the universities teach you how to manage finance, how to manage market, how to manage material, how to manage facts, etc. All those hard skills are given to you. And I am sure that the universities are more competent in teaching you about the management of the objects, entities, than even what Vedanta or Bhagavad Gita can teach. Where the Bhagavad Gita or Vedanta has to contribute is the management of the self, self-management. It is something that we have to pay attention to. You'll be interested to know that the whole Bhagavad Gita's teaching started with the crisis in self-management. You know that the Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is a most reputed warrior. His various names suggest how courageous he was, how powerful he was, how successful he was, meaning that Arjuna was a very successful person in terms of what we generally call success. And success is usually equated to wealth, power, fame. These are the usual criteria of measuring success. And by those criteria, Arjuna was one of the most successful persons. He comes to the battlefield very well equipped with all the hard skills of how to fight. So all the strategy, all the weapons, everything was well known to him. He came with all the enthusiasm of fighting the battle and gaining the victory, which everybody should have. But as you know, something happened to him before even the first arrow was sent. Arjuna requested Lord Krishna, who was his charioteer, to place his chariot between the two armies so that he could survey particular opposite army and determine the strategy in his mind as to how he is going to fight. And again, hopefully you know that what he saw in both the armies were his near and dear ones, his relatives, friends, people who were very dear to him, many of them. And seeing this, something happened to him. We will not go into the technical details of why it happened to him. What happened to Arjuna is that he lost all the motivation to fight the battle. He says to Lord Krishna, I see no purpose in fighting this battle. I will not fight the battle. He became nervous, he became feverish to such an extent that he reported that, Lord, my body is shaking, I am feeling feverish, I cannot even hold my bow. And at the end of the first chapter, you find that he became so nervous that he collapsed in the middle of his chariot, leaving aside his weapons, bow and arrow. This is a picture of Arjuna that we find, meaning that this is a typical example of failure in self-management. You have all the skills of how to deal with finances, how to deal with business, how to deal with market, how to deal with technology, everything you have, imagine. And still, as a person, if you cannot manage yourself, if you cannot manage your own mind, you become overpowered by nervousness, by anxiety, by fear, by anger, by jealousy. Then the assessment of the situation that you make, the decisions that you make, the actions that you take are very likely to be wrong. Therefore, the one who manages has to be managed first before he can effectively manage others. Now you know very well that management can be simply said as making right decisions, showing leadership, making right choices, making right decisions, and therefore performing right actions, correct? Doing what is right in a given situation, that you do if you have made a right decision, that you can do if you assess the situation correctly. So when you meet a situation, number one, you have to assess what the situation is, what it calls for, what choices are available, what decision is to be made, and how the decision is to be implemented. So assessing a situation is a very important thing. How you assess the situation. For that you require a proper frame of mind, what we call objective frame of mind. You know what is objective frame of mind? Is the ability to see things as they are and not coloring the situation by your own subjective emotions or impulses. You come across a person and you have to interact with that person. He happens to be your client and you are the one who is going to sell something to that person. But then when he comes before you, you recognize, oh, this is that fellow who met me 3 years ago, who insulted me, who did this to me. And therefore now in your own mind, that experience of being insulted, the experience of being hurt, the anger that arose in you at that time, all of this comes back to your mind. Now when interacting with that person, it is a hurt, angry person that is interacting. You no more look upon him as a person or as a client, you look upon him as someone who has hurt you, insulted you. It is very likely that you make a decision to only pay back. So whether you are making decision because of anger, because of jealousy, because of greed, because of hurt, because of nervousness, because of fear, all these kinds of feelings are there within ourselves. And when assessment is made, when a decision is taken, as influenced by any one of these impulses or negative feelings, understand that that also influences your decision. We all have experience of examination hall. And when the paper comes, I remember my experiences. First question, you don't know what is it written, what are you asking? Second question, that's it. I cannot even read further questions. I am totally nervous. I prepared very well. In fact, everything was memorized, but when I became nervous, nothing comes back to my mind. So nervousness, fear, as I said, anger, jealousy. Understand that all of these things have an important effect on how I see things, how I understand things, how I assess the things, how I make choices, how I make decisions, how effective I am as a manager. So to be an effective manager or to be an effective person, you must be in your right mind, not in a wrong mind. What is right mind? Right mind is a mind that enjoys the poise. It enjoys objectivity. It is together with the situation, not influenced by extraneous factors, not influenced by personal agenda. If I am working here for the university, the agenda of university is what I should represent and not my personal agenda. But then when I talk to some other fellow, I have some history with that person. I get overcome by with emotion, then I no more work for the agenda of the organization, I work for my personal agenda. Therefore, the frame of mind or disposition of mind is a very important aspect of any interaction, any relationship, any management. And this is what our Dr. Vyas said, not just intellectual quotient, not just emotional quotient. He said, what other quotient did he say? spiritual quotient. Spiritual quotient keep aside right now. Let us talk of even emotional quotient. You know what is emotional quotient? Emotional quotient means being able to manage my emotions. Meaning that not coming under the influence of my emotions. Maintaining a poise or a balanced frame of mind. Mind which is free from the influence of these impulses. That's called emotional quotient. What are the emotions which control us? When you get angry, do you remember the event when you get angry? When I become angry and I do something, it is not I who is doing something, it is my anger that is doing something. When I am jealous, it is not I who makes decision, it is my jealousy that does things. I am sure that in our day-to-day life also, even with your family, with your friends and others also, very often our relationships were affected because we sometimes become angry, we sometimes say things that are not right, we sometimes become jealous, we become hurt, we become guilty. Relationships are affected, our behavior is affected, our life is affected, career is affected. So understand this, that a very important aspect of a successful manager is the ability to first successfully manage himself. And that is where the values come into play. Values in management. Everybody knows what values are. Everybody must have heard honesty is best policy, they say in English. Honesty is a value. I guess you will agree. Fairness is a value, isn't it? Truthfulness is a value. Kindness is a value. So kindness, honesty, truthfulness, generosity, these are the basic values that everybody knows about. You know why are they called values? Because they are universally applicable to all. Kindness is a basic value. You know why is it a value? How do we decide what a value is? It is decided by how I want to be treated by others. Understand this. Truthfulness is a value even to me because I expect other people to be truthful to me. Is it not so? I expect others not to cheat me. I'm sure everybody will agree. But Swami, you are cheating. Now that's a different matter. Even the thieves also, when they steal things and then they're dividing, among themselves, they won't expect others one to be honest. He is this thief, but he expects other thieves to be honest because we expect others to be honest to us. We expect others to be kind to us. Is it not so? We expect others to be truthful to us. Do we? No, that is one aspect of it. The difficult aspect is, just as I expect others to be kind to me, or honest to me, or truthful to me, I know that others also expect me to be kind to them. That's the difficult part. I know that others also expect me to be honest to them, truthful to them, kind to them. Is that right? Then what happens? Suppose I am cruel instead of being kind, because my anger takes over me and sometimes become cruel. We use words which are very hurtful. we behave in a manner which hurts the feelings of others. Why do we do that? I want you to be kind to me, then how come I am not kind to you? Can someone tell me? Everybody knows what kindness is, everybody knows what truthfulness is, and I want you to be truthful to me. How come I am not truthful to you? I want you to be kind to me. How come I am not always kind to others? I want you to be honest to me. How come I am not honest? This is a problem that we have, isn't it? Everywhere. Where we look around, Swamiji, corruption is the problem. Dishonesty is the problem. But the person who is corrupt wants others not to be corrupt. We always criticize corruption. We criticize dishonesty. We criticize untruthfulness. Whether we ourselves are able to do it or not. Is it not so? So our question is, we know what honesty is. The problem is, why are we dishonest? We know what truthfulness is. Why do we tell lies? We know what kindness is. Why are we very often unkind? Has anybody thought about it? If we are to others what we expect others to be towards us, then there is no problem at all. I want you to be kind to me, I am kind to you, this universe will turn into heaven. So why the problem is, why is there violation of values? When we talk of values, we know what values are and usually follow values also. Basically, every person is a kind person, an honest person, a good person. This is what Vedanta teaches. That the core person that you are, the core person that I am, core person everyone is a kind, beautiful, honest person. You know why I say that? Because there is something called self-liking and self-dislike. Does it ever happen to you that you don't like yourself? So if I ask you a question, do you like yourself to be a kind person or a cruel person? Even when somebody photographs me, Swamiji, look here. You know how my face is? A smiling face. Even a photograph also, I like to see myself a smiling person, even though there may be some emotions in my mind. But when I am being photographed, I become self-conscious. I put my clothes properly. I have a half-an-inch smile. Why is it so? That is because I have love for being a good person, a kind person. Is it not so? So when do I like myself? When do I like you, for example? I like you when you are kind to me. Is it not so? I like you when you are honest to me. I like you when you are truthful to me. You think of the people you like. Understand that the same thing applies to ourselves. I like myself when I am kind. I like myself when I am honest. I like myself when I am truthful. This is very important to understand. There is something called self-liking and self-dislike. This is our human problem. So what is human being's problem? Is not liking myself. Is not being comfortable with myself. Is not being happy with myself. Understand that being unhappy with others comes after my being unhappy with myself. So all the problems are centered upon the self. All solutions are also centered upon the self. Therefore, not liking myself is my big problem, and liking myself is a solution. If you create in yourself a mind a personality. When you are happy with yourself, you have gained success in your life. Simple thing. So that is very simple. I'll start liking myself. Is it that simple? I don't know if you ever thought about this, but please think. There is something called self-dislike. Self-dissatisfaction, self-dislike, self-rejection, self-condemnation. You do know how sadness arises? You know, when we become sad, a happy person doesn't become sad. When I'm happy with myself, I'm happy. When do we become sad? When I do not like myself. There is conflict within my own self that I do not like myself. And when that builds up, I dislike myself. I reject myself. I condemn myself and I end myself. All self-ending thing comes from this only. Swamiji, he did not have money, he did not have a job. That is not a problem. What is his problem or anybody's problem? Is that he just does not, he hates himself. He condemns himself. So we are very critical people. We always criticize, and the first entity that I criticize is myself. I am most critical of myself because I have expectation of myself as to how I should be. I like myself and I am kind person, honest person, right? Righteous person. And when I find myself unkind, dishonest, untruthful, I reject myself. First is I fail myself. So this business of passing and failing all begins with my own self. Please don't disturb this photographer. Because they don't look at me, they look at you because they want to be photographed. And don't open this door also now, because when he opens, everybody greets, and when the fish sits down, they all escort him all the way there. And then I'm watching here, when they're done with this, then I can talk. So please understand this, that the most important thing to me is happiness, success. And happiness is when I am happy with myself. Happiness is when I am comfortable with myself. Happiness is when I accept myself. And when I can accept myself? When I can accept you. When I accept you when you are kind, rightful, truthful. Similarly, I can accept myself only when I am kind, truthful, honest. That means that then why do we Swami, why do people are dishonest? Why do they sacrifice truth, values? But there is a conflict. Human being has a conflict in life. What is that conflict? We have two sets of values. One is the set of values with which are born. Nobody has to be taught to be kind. That kindness is a value, we know. Truthfulness is a value, we know. Honest is a value, we know. Why? Because we expect others to be like that to us. But when we grow in this society, and today with all the social media, etc., there is so much input in our mind, then you see the world. Who is the person who is, we have value for being respected? Who is the person who is respected? A wealthy person is respected. Whose photograph comes on the first page of the newspaper? Person who is wealthy, famous, powerful. And therefore, as we grow in this society, we find that people are all valuing wealth, fame, power, that is called success. That's a value that society has. And I also want to be successful. Therefore, even as I grow in this, my life, I start imbibing value for wealth, for power, for fame. That's called success. Wealth, power, fame. Thus, I have two sets of values. One is the natural inherent values which I am born. Kindness is a natural inherent value because everybody has that. Honesty is a natural inherent value. Everybody has that. But along with that, I have value also for money, for power, for prestige, for my image, for fame. So when the conflict between the two, that for being honest, Swamiji, honesty, I have to, my own experience, passing through customs, coming from United States, carrying big bags, 30 years ago. Those days, everything was very precious. Even a tape recorder also, any electronic items were all made there, not. So they were all precious, we used to carry them. They were all subject to customs duty and even sometimes customs further fine also. So once I was coming with my big bags and then the customs officer says, Swamiji, is there some item, custom dutiable items? So I am a Swami. If I tell them I have nothing with me, he'll let me go. He may not let you go, but since I am a Swami, people still, so far they respect, you can say how everybody is respecting me. So if I say to customs officer, no sir, officer, I have nothing to declare, he'll let me go. If I say, yes, I have something to declare, you know what he will do? He will open my bags and then check everything, including every little shirt that I have bought. He will add up a whole thing, 60,000 rupees, 100% duty, 30% further fine, 200,000 rupees. A lot of money. So now, speaking truth on one hand and 200,000 rupees on the other hand, what will you do? I know what you will do. What you will tell me, I know. Sorry, I will speak truth. But this is called a conflict. Conflict because of values. I know that I should be honest. And in particular in my case, because I am talking about values. I am telling other people how you should be honest. Now when it comes to me, and when my honesty is questioned because now it means a lot of price I have to pay for being honest. Usually honesty loses the battle and money wins the battle. Nobody is corrupt by nature, understand? We criticize corruption. We criticize people who are corrupt. Nobody is basically corrupt. Everybody is basically honest. So why corruption? Because of helplessness. I become helpless. That money, the value I have for money pressurizes me. So this is called the inability to manage my emotion. That greed in me says, no, this money is more important than truth, and the greed in me controls me and forces me to violate the value. Thus greed, anger, jealousy, hatred, these are the impulses. Whenever they arise in my mind, they control me. They force me to do what is wrong. They force me to violate the basic value. So let us understand, why is there corruption? Why is there violence? Why is there all this human abuse, abuse of other human beings, anger and killing or violence to other beings, greed and corruption? Why is it there? It is not that a person wants to be corrupt, not that person wants to be violent, not that a person wants to abuse, but in her mind arise strong impulses which compel him to behave in this manner. And we cannot be totally different from them. It's easy and nice to be at a distance and criticize a violent person, a dishonest person, a corrupt person, that's fine. But we must know that similar forces also can sometimes control us. We may not do as bad as other person. We may not kill somebody. We may not even physically hurt somebody. We may even keep control over our words. But in the mind, things will arise, and it's quite possible that mentally I can be angry and I can hurt somebody. So to be happy, to enjoy a state of mind which is peaceful and happy, and only when you have that state of mind you can make right decisions. Understand this. To make right decisions, to provide right leadership, to do right things, you require a mind that enjoys that right mood or right disposition, and that can be only when I am true to my nature, only when I am true to these values. So what happens is that because of the greed and temptation for the money, I told a lie. Swamiji, money is important. What will you do? I'll watch it. I'll bring a color TV. I have color TV now. Every time I look at the color TV, I remember that incident. Which incident? Customs. I told a lie. That whenever I violate a value, it leaves its impression in me. It creates a conflict. Understand that we cannot escape the conflict. We cannot escape the consequences of violating a value because I know I have done something wrong. I don't like myself. It creates in me a sense of guilt. Does it happen to you? Swamiji, I later on, do we regret sometimes for what we did? Do we regret sometimes for what we said? Oh, I should not have said it. I should not have done it. Does it ever happen to you? Maybe not. But then it. So why does it happen? I wish I had not said it. I wish I repent. I regret. Why? Because the person who is regretting is different from the person who did things, understand? One who told a lie is one fellow, one who is regretting is another fellow. Is other fellow? Now he is my true self who is regretting, who is repenting. Because when I did things, somebody else took hold of me and compelled me to do things. Meaning that all violation of value is done out of compulsion, not out of willingness. Nobody willingly violates a value. It's by compulsion. What is the compulsion? Anger is a compulsion. Greed is a compulsion. Passion is a compulsion. Lust is a compulsion. And therefore, in order for us to be happy people, to be successful people, to be effective managers, effective in human beings, you must have a value for a mind wherein these impulses they do not control me. That I am essentially able to manage those impulses. That's called self-management. And that can happen when I follow the values. When can I follow the values? When a value is more important to me than what I get by violating the value. See, nobody violates a value unless there is some material gain. When I realize that the material gain like money, like power, like fame comes at a big price of my own self by creating conflict in myself, guilt in myself. All stresses are created because of violation of value. Swamiji, my work is very stressful. Work is not stressful. So, work can be challenging is one thing. What is stressful? All stress is created because of doing things which I should not have done. Every time I tell a lie, it leaves a little impact, impact in my mind. All builds up. One telling a lie, you don't seem to think that it's okay. Second time you do, third time you do, fourth time you do. Every time there is an impact. There is an assault which all builds up. It is called trauma. You know what is trauma? All of you fellows must be having bikes, isn't it? Many of you. These days bikes are pretty costly, expensive, 70,000, 80,000 rupees. And this Baroda I find here, all kind of bumps are there. Wherever you go, the bumps and very unscientifically made bumps. So you go, then you jump and fall, jump and fall. No young man is going to respect this bump or this speed breaker. He will go. But you ride above the speed breaker, naturally there is an impact. You do not realize, you are young and strong, you don't realize that there is a trauma in your spinal cord. Is it not so? You may not recognize. Only when you turn 50, that when you wake up one morning, I have slip disc. There is some catch here. Then doctor will say, because you lifted something heavy. No, all that is the result of the small traumas that all took place because you violated the law of your body of not caring for the body and then letting it have all these jerks, all these traumas. Similarly also, when I tell a lie or violate a value, this is a trauma, little trauma. You have second time, trauma. Third time, trauma. By the time I'm 45, 50, you know what happens? Mid-age crisis. Have you heard this fashionable term? Mid-age crisis. 45, 50 years, Swami, I see no purpose in life. In Gujarati, there is a saying, Sathe buddhi nati. You follow this? Meaning, by the time you are 60, why? Because during that time, this fellow has not lived intelligently at all. He has violated so many times, and that trauma is built up. By the time you are 60, you are no good. Meaning that you are sacrificing yourself for the sake of these material things which have no value otherwise. Money, nobody will eat. Those things are just nothing but outward show. True happiness comes from yourself, not from those things. I am not suggesting you should not have money. You have it. You do earn money and fame and power. I bless you. Understand that all that should not be at your cost. You must first be a person who is together, not split within. When I tell a lie, I know I am telling a lie. The fellow who knows is one, fellow it is another. It's called split personality. Thus we create split every time we violate a value, we create a split. All that builds up and affects our mind, affects our decision making ability, affects our mental peace, affects our happiness, affects our success. Never. Understanding values and recognize that values are very valuable to us. That values are more valuable than all material gains, because even if I get $1 million, if I do not have the right mood to enjoy the $1 million, sometimes you go for dinner with friends, nice restaurant, candlelit, light music, beautiful sight, panoramic sight, it's wonderful. On the way to restaurant, the friends are talking to each other, you talk, you say something, and then fellow crosses you, you say something, some argument builds up, and ultimately, your feelings are hurt. Now you go to the restaurant with a hurt feeling. You think you're going to enjoy that food? When you are not in mood, can you enjoy a movie? Can you enjoy anything? For enjoying something, not only do you require the object of enjoyment, you require the capacity to enjoy, which is the mood of your mind, understand? So it is good to have things around you, objects of enjoyment, but in the process of acquiring those objects of enjoyment, we seem to sacrifice the very instrument, the mind, with which I have to enjoy those things, when I do not follow the right means, when I do not do the right things. So two things you should do. Certainly go ahead and make money. No problem. Be famous, be powerful, all your blessings to you. But understand that you must learn how to gain that emotional quotient, how to master, control your emotions, how to enjoy a state of mind which is together, which is happy with itself, which is poised, which is able to be objective, be able to enjoy things, able to make right decisions, and thus become a successful person. So two aspects of success. One aspect is success that people know. Second aspect is the success in the form of mind. A right disposition of mind, which can only come by following the values. Therefore, values in management. It's not so much value of value. So more we understand how valuable the values are, more we will be able to follow them, and more successful we will be, more happy we will be. Om.